This is an interview with J.D.T. K.E.Y., retired farmer and businessman from Guymon, Oklahoma, G-U-Y-M-O-N. The interviewer is Faris, F-A-R-I-S. Now, Mr. Key, who was your father? And who was your mother?
developed all grass, you might say, dug out a little old board shack, and a sod house, up to what it is today. Got my first week harvested, I had to hold it 50 miles, even wagon. And I remember mighty well. I hold it that distance, taking from 60 to 65 cents a bushel for the wheat. And I hauled lumber back and built an 8-room house, a story and a half. The downstairs all finished up, and the upstairs just left in a rust for its ends to sleep. And the year after my wife and I were married and got back out here, they started the town a mile and a half north of me of Lake Kemp, L-A-K-E-M-P. And it worked into a town about 1,500 population. Had a regular town of banks, hardware, hotels, general stores, post office, printing office, and so on. Later on, that town moved past my place when the railroad come from Shattuck, Oklahoma up through Raleigh, there, Booker, Cherokee, Sherman, and I was due north of Booker at that time. The railroad come up through that Texas country from Shattuck, Oklahoma, and they started the town of Booker in 1919, and they moved this town of Lake Kemp to past my place 100%, and pretty well established town of Booker, Texas. And at that time, the Balco and Gray, Oklahoma, those country stores in the little town, they moved to Perry and helped to make that town. Okla moved up to Perry and helped to make Perry. And that's pretty well the history of the way it was in the early days. There was no, till the town of Lake Kemp started, there was stores around there 10 or 15 miles around where they'd haul groceries and stuff in where we put a train. No telephones in the county, only one about 10 miles northeast of me at that time. My place was 21 miles south of Beaver City and a mile west. And from where I lived to Beaver, there wasn't a regular house on that entire 22 miles. It was all shacks like I mentioned.
You said that you built your house. Tell us how you did it.
When I got the lumber on the ground, most of it, I heard a couple of carpenters at Chandler, Oklahoma that I knew down there, good carpenters, and they came out there and built the house for me. At that time, their pay per day was $1.50 a day in their board. That's what they asked to come out. And they built my house, and also while I was there, they built a 15 to 28 for an elderly couple that lived there south of me. That was the fall of 1908 when that house was built, and it's still standing today, perfect. The boy lived in, and he made it modern, which wasn't at that time. And it's that lumber was the old log and pine lumber that just hardened like oak, and there's no rock to it. And the entire bill of lumber at that time, with the hardware sold in, cost me $455. And just a few years later, I built some porches onto it, and it cost me more than the house did at that time. And it was the first house to show up on the plains. You could see it for 10 miles in its direction. And that was about it at that time.
What kind of facilities did you have in your house, like plumbing?
There wasn't such a thing as plumbing in the house at that time. You had your outdoor facilities. It's been many years before anybody ever had anything modern along that line out in this part of the country. Later on, we got gas across the pipeline across the place, and we put natural gas in the house for lighting or burning city lights.
Could you tell us some of the history of Guyman when you first came here?
When I first came to Guyman, it's a town of about 2,000 population. Hurry to be that. About a year after I helped the lady with the fences, and we had to scratch everywhere to find that many people. And today it's a town, I guess, of about 15,000 something here.
What did the early town look like?
Well, the early town was most of it wood buildings. At the time I came here, there was about 2 or 3 brick buildings in Guyman. And there was no pavement. And what few houses was pretty small. And we've had a gradual growth of Guyman ever since that time. And it's got to be quite a city.
Do you have any unusual stories that happened to you while you were on your homestead?
The fall of 7 on my homestead, I'd hand-headed my maize and picked what corn I had that I'd grown on sod and mixed it up and left it dripped on the flame there up the shack all that winter when I went back to Chandler, Oklahoma. Next spring when it came out, the man had a thrash machine. And to start with, though, We burnt corn in a cook stove, putting all that spring to cook with. Didn't have any wood out here. And you couldn't haul anything to market and get enough hours to pay to haul it that 50 miles. And when I went to thrash my maize, why, I'd haul some coal, and we'd put some coal in and get started, and haul a big load of maize head, put in with the coal for steam to thrash maize. We couldn't haul that to this load and get enough to pay me to haul coal, and then haul that to the market. There wasn't much market for maize at California at that time.
You said you were in the car business. What kind of people back then bought cars?
The car business, when I went into it, was the fall of 1927, and there hadn't been too many cars sold in the country trucks. In the year of 28, they brought out that 28 four-cylinder truck, and we sold trucks pretty under the train load that year. People get up, they were having to haul to the market. A lot of them hauling from 30 to 50 miles at that time before you heard of the railroads to go to. When I was on the plane, I freighted out of Liberal, Kansas, Shattuck, Oklahoma, Higgins, Texas, and Brazos, Texas. It's 50 miles in any direction. I was right in the middle of the distance. Get there and then go down.
How did they settle the land here in the Panhandle?
Well, people come in and pick out what they wanted to and filed on it. They settled up along the creek first on the account of water. You get back on the plains and it's deep water, the Florida water that they got all settled up along the creek first. And then they begin to settle the flats later. When I came out here, all the good level land had been filed on in these part of Beaver County. It was called all of Beaver County at that time. And I bought a relinquishment and gave $400 for a relinquishment. And got state filing on it. Now, first, some of the early settlers, the first governor of Okla, territorial governor of Oklahoma was Governor C. He and my father was growing up together, and I've met him and was acquainted with him myself. I was well acquainted with Pawnee Bill, and several of the early settlers of Oklahoma.
Can you tell us something about the governor?
Governor Steve lived in Steelville, Missouri, where we lived at the time. And I've passed the place where he lived many a time. He and my father were schoolmates together way back there. And after we come to Oklahoma, my father had a birthday, and they notified Governor C, and he'd come over to Chandler and was there that night for my father's birthday party.
Do you have any interesting stories about Pawnee Bill?
When we were working on good highways through here, we were working for 64 highway from here, and a bunch of us left Guyman, and we got my car and painted it all over Guyman, the pad, the hub of the panhandle, and other things all over. And when we got to Pawnee that night, Pawnee Bill seen that, and he put it up on the sidewalk and put his painters to painting their cars. And we had quite a parade from there in Fort Smith, Arkansas, where we went for this meeting.
I guess it's just clear. What was Statehood Day like in Guthrie?
I was in Guthrie 2 different times with all the Statehood when they was having a convention there. And there was quite a crowd there at that time. And I didn't know too much about it because I just flew there and stopped over for a few hours at a time. As far as Guthrie at that time, there's nothing unusual up there. It's just a lot of people in town, of course, at the Statehood time. But there's no decorations. I remember at that time at all.
Could you tell us when you were born and some interesting stories of your lifetime?
I was born in Stillwell, Missouri in 1880, December the 3rd. If I live to the 3rd day of this coming December, I'll be 97 years old. I'm still active and on the job 9 hours every day.
How about some interesting stories from your boyhood and how life was then?
Where I was raised up was pretty rough sledding when I was a boy, so I got raised. And my folks were poor folks, they had to work. As far as school, there wasn't much school anywhere in 4 months in the following year. And this time we'd get our corn cut and their molasses made and wheat sold. Our school would be about half over. Wasn't much too much schooling at that time already. And there wasn't such a thing as a telephone or anything like that. My father had a cousin that had a big 2-story house and wired it up so he could talk from one room to the other all over. And the folks on the sentence asylum said he'd gone crazy, that couldn't be done. But it was later on. There's plenty of it.
What did your school look like?
The first school I was ever in was a log cabin with brick logs set on with old board in them and stakes set up on the floor about 15 inches. That's the way a lot of the schoolhouses looked at that time before I was raised.
Can you give us some history on the blizzards in the early days?
Fall of 1911 and winter of 12, we had one of the worst winters that this country had ever seen since the 84 grade. And we were 50 miles from the railroad. Everybody run out of provisions, coal and food and everything else. Cousin and I traded together quite a lot, and we was in the town of Lecompton, a mile and a half north of me. And we decided to go to the railroad the next day. There's a bunch of the farmers in there. Said, if you fellas are going, we are too, because you're on the road so much, you know how to make it and get in bad. And we started out. Next morning, you could see wagons coming in the trail from every direction, and when all them farmers had to come into the wagon. And that evening, we sat down on what's called Second Street, where there was a cat house. And the ragged seen us coming, string of us about a half a mile long. And they began to phone up and down the creek. says, there comes Beaver County, let's go to the railroad in the morning with it. They hadn't been. We started, got into Glacier, got loaded up, and there's snow 15 inches everywhere, and we're 6 and 8, 10-foot deep. And we started out early one morning, it was still and cold. I seen cattle standing in snow up to their belly, froze stiff from that cold night. And everybody had picked up the night before in case they wasn't dressed one to weather the cold weather. And from the time we got started to the railroad till we got home with all the wagons, it was 6 days and nights, and we didn't feel sorry, I think. Right? Cold, hungry. One day, I went from morning till midnight that night and had a half life with frozen light, but he got in home midnight that night.
How long did the blizzard last?
That winter of 11 and 12, it started in December, and we never seen the ground north of our house till March or till April the next year. There's a drift of snow there coming in the north lane, 10-foot deep, there for days and days and days. Just everything was on a standstill.
How did you keep warm?
We had to dress according to the weather. We were young and full of energy, and we stood a lot cold. The youngsters wouldn't stand the day because we went dressed with wool underwear, wool top clothes, good corduroys over that, fit right.
Do you know anything about the Oklahoma dirt storm?
I've been Chevrolet business here, 30, we just call it. I've seen plenty of the dirt storm all over the whole western country. Tough, pretty tough. But we never lost a major fish out of time all that time. We just buckled up a belt and fought it through and come out and win. The ones that stayed with it, they did. The ones that left, I don't know what took them a lot of because that stayed here. Just the one that moved and good. Right during that time, if I'd had money